Bienvenue, mes enfants. Here's a short follow-up to my paper-filtered espresso video. Last time, when I compared standard shots to ones using paper, I kept the shot times consistent by adjusting the grit size. Some viewers were curious to know what might happen if I kept the same grind settings and allowed the shot times to fluctuate. So let's look into that. I'll be using the Chemex white papers supplied by Good Brothers Coffee with a 16-gram dose. You'll find the detailed specs in the description. Because the paper shots run so fast, it makes little sense to do my usual manual pre-infusion, which would perhaps last longer than the shot itself. So for this series of tests, I'm using only the automatic pre-infusion that's built into the E61 group design. To time this series, I used a mechanical milestone, 8 bar of pressure registering on the group pressure gauge. Then I cycle the pump quickly, which resets the timer back to 0. So I timed the shots from the 8 bar mark. I have my grinder dialed in for 30 grams out in 30 seconds without paper, plus or minus 2 seconds. All of the standard shots tasted fine, served as straight espresso and as Americanos. So let's see what the paper does now. I rinsed them as shown in the previous video, but this time I blotted one of them dry to see if we get any water at the start, which could indicate the puck being bypassed. And there's nothing to see, so I think that's confirmed. The water is simply being squeezed out of the wet paper. It is not slipping under the puck. This shot is really fast. 30 grams in only 20 seconds, or 40% faster than shots without paper. And this difference has been consistent. It's a lot bigger than I expected. No doubt there will be different results on other coffee machines or with different baskets and so on. So why rinse the filters? Let me show you with the microscope. Here is a dry paper, the same ones I've been using here, and you can see a lot of open voids. Now, here is the same sample wet. There are still thicker and thinner areas, but far fewer voids, probably because some of the fibers absorb water and swell, closing them off. So I always start with wet paper for consistency's sake. As for the taste, well, I have to say that after running so fast, the paper-filtered shots are inferior. There's no balance. It's far too acidic, with too little bitterness, umami, body, etc. Really, just the upper range of flavors and a thin texture without complexity or depth. So I don't think you can just slip a paper filter in there and brew without making any changes at all. I think we all know instinctively that for a 16-gram shot, 20 seconds of contact time is simply inadequate. If you'd like to try paper filters, I think it's necessary to adjust your shot times by taste to get a good result. Your preferred shot could still run faster than a standard one, of course. Just for kicks, I tried a very fine grind with the paper, which would have totally choked a standard shot, and I saw comparatively long shot times, averaging 38 seconds for 30 grams out. The flavor, again, was poorly balanced, but in the other direction. Kind of dull, showing the lower end without the broader range of more subtle, brighter flavors. So by all means experiment with grind settings if you're curious about this. I don't want to discourage anyone, but at the same time, I can't heartily recommend the practice either. You're adding an extra layer of difficulty, complexity, and uncertainty to a process that's already pretty complicated. And the payoff? For me, definitely not worth the bother. For you, it might be different. Give it a go. But at this point, I'm done with it. Cheers!